Foolishness and bravery. A brave but very foolish American general who died idiotically in the war against the Native Americans. This is all about George Armstrong Custer. Born in Ohio in 1839, he was the youngest of 5 children in his family. In 1856, the future general entered the West Point Military Academy. Custer received his officer's rank in 1861, graduating last in his class in terms of academic performance. That same year, the American Civil War broke out, and Custer saw it as his chance to achieve glory. He joined the Union Cavalry, where he quickly attracted the attention of his superiors with his personal bravery and tactical intuition. In June 1863, at the age of just 23, Custer became the youngest brigadier general in the Union Army. Just days later, he had to lead troops into battle at Gettysburg. By the end of the war, he had risen to the rank of Major General and commanded a cavalry division. Remarkably, unlike many commanders of his time, he led his troops not from a safe distance, but from the front lines, often charging into battle himself. He also seemed to have a knack for avoiding serious harm. During the war, 11 horses were shot from under him, yet he was never wounded. Perhaps because of this, Custer earned the nickname Iron Butt, and among his soldiers, the phrase Custer's luck came to mean supernatural good fortune. The general took part in many key events of the Civil War. Custer personally took the white flag, signaling the surrender of the legendary General Robert E. Lee. Incidentally, he paid great attention to his appearance. He carefully groomed his long golden hair, always smelled of cinnamon, and dressed in the latest fashion. In 1866, immediately after the Civil War, Custer headed to Kansas to deal with the Indian problem. This problem arose as waves of white settlers moved westward across the U.S. and clashed with Native American tribes. By the early 1860s, most indigenous peoples had either been exterminated or forced into reservations, with the Great Plains remaining their last stronghold. Custer participated in numerous skirmishes with the Sioux and Cheyenne. In 1873, he first fought against the forces of 2 legendary Native American leaders, Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. At that time, his detachment was guarding a railroad station in Yellowstone. Passengers would disembark at this stop to hunt buffalo, often engaging in senseless mass slaughters of the animals. By 1876, the war with the Native Americans had escalated once again. The U.S. government, having initially granted the Black Hills to the Sioux, later reneged on the deal when gold was discovered there. It fell to Custer to forcibly relocate the Sioux. However, unwilling to be driven from their homeland, the Sioux moved to the banks of the Little Bighorn River in Montana, joining forces with Custer's old adversaries, Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. On June 25, 1876, Custer and his troops were the first to arrive at the site. His scouts quickly located the Native American encampment, and the Civil War hero's dormant spirit of adventure reawakened. Instead of waiting for reinforcements, he decided to attack immediately. This battle went down in history as Custer's last stand, and in all likelihood, he had no chance of victory. The general divided his 600 men into 4 groups. 1 was to guard the supply train, 2 were to attack from the south, and the last, led by Custer himself, was to strike from the north. The 2 southern groups launched their assault first, but quickly retreated upon realizing that the Native Americans not only outnumbered them, but also had superior weaponry. The indigenous force numbered over 2,000 warriors, the largest Native American army ever assembled on the Great Plains. In addition to traditional bows and arrows, they wielded advanced repeating rifles, while the cavalrymen had only single-shot rifles and revolvers. Unaware of the retreat of his allies, Custer and his troops charged into the Native American camp from the opposite side. The defenders, astonished by such audacity, wiped out the attackers within an hour. Only 1 survivor managed to escape, sent to call for reinforcements. He reached the commanders of the 2 southern detachments, but they ignored his plea, perhaps out of fear, or perhaps as a way to rid themselves of their troublesome commander. Custer fought to the very end. His body was found alongside 40 other cavalrymen, including his brother and nephew. He himself was killed by 2 gunshots, one to the heart and another to the head. Following their ancient customs, the Native Americans mutilated the bodies of the fallen enemies, believing that this would prevent their souls from finding peace, dooming them to wander the earth forever. Initially, there were rumors that George Custer had been spared such humiliation, but later it was revealed that his corpse had also been desecrated. Custer was hastily buried at the site of his death, along with 200 other cavalrymen. The Battle of Little Bighorn became the largest and most humiliating defeat for the U.S. in its wars with the Native Americans. However, their triumph was short-lived. The American public demanded revenge for the fallen Civil War hero, and the Army redoubled its efforts to annihilate and relocate indigenous peoples.